Imagine the galloping speed of a timber wolf, trapped inside the heavy, armored body of a rhinoceros, wielding the bone-crushing jaws of a killer whale. You are looking at a prehistoric robbery in progress. 25 million years ago, on the sun-baked plains of ancient North America, a pack of wolf-sized predators have just made a kill in the dirt. They are hyenodons. They are heavily armed. They are starving. And yet, they are absolutely terrified. Because stepping through the heat distortion of the horizon is a 2,000-pound biological tank. It doesn't attack them. It doesn't need to. It simply looks at them, opens a set of 3-foot jaws, and takes their food through pure, unadulterated intimidation. The pack scatters, the monster eats, and somewhere in the fossil record there is a scientific name for exactly what you just witnessed. Meet the undisputed enforcer of the Cenozoic badlands, Daeodon, a creature the world has come to know as the Hell Pig. Welcome to Primal Arsenal. But if you want to understand this prehistoric nightmare, you must first unlearn the biggest myth about it. The name Hell Pig is a complete and total lie. Look at its massive snout, the bristles, the heavy cloven hooves. It is incredibly easy to see why early paleontologists looked at these bones and assumed they had found the ancient ancestor of the wild boar. For decades, the public was told this was simply a giant, terrifying farm animal. But modern DNA analysis of its evolutionary family tree, a group known as the Entelodons, revealed a horrifying truth. They aren't related to pigs at all. Their closest living relatives are hippopotamuses and whales. Think about what that actually means. A bull hippo is responsible for more human fatalities in Africa every year than lions. It is an explosively territorial killer. Now, strip away its river fat, replace it with desert muscle, put it on sprinting legs, and hand it the endurance of a predator. That is what you are dealing with. Not a farm animal, a land warfare hippo, built for one environment and one purpose. To understand the weapon, you have to understand what built it. Following the extinction of the dinosaurs, the Earth healed into something lush, humid, and full. For millions of years, it looked like the world had found a stable rhythm. Then, the rhythm broke. The Oligocene epoch brought a climate shift that was slow, total, and merciless. The forests of North America withered away, replaced by vast, sun-hammered grasslands stretching in every direction with nowhere to hide. Rivers that had run for millions of years cracked into dry, white riverbeds. Water sources shrank to single points. Scarcity made everything aggressive. Aggression made everything dangerous. The ecosystem compressed itself into a brutal, calorie-depleted gauntlet. And the animal that came out the other side was not the most graceful or the most intelligent. It was the most unstoppable. When we picture 2,000-pound animals today, rhinoceroses, hippos, bison, we picture slow, ground-shaking bulk, short legs, heavy bellies dragging close to the earth, built like furniture. Daeodon was not built like furniture. Standing over 6 feet tall at the shoulder, its massive torso was carried on long, lean, heavily muscled legs. And unlike bears or humans that walk flat-footed, Daeodon was digitigrade. It ran balanced perfectly on its toes, on two-toed cloven hooves, equipped with the exact same shock-absorbing suspension system as a running wolf. the bone-crushing mass of a rhinoceros combined with the stride mechanics of a pursuit predator. This was not an animal you could outlast on the open plains. It could cover ground fast enough to close on early horses and camels before they even reached a full sprint. And once it closed that distance, it delivered 2,000 pounds of kinetic impact directly to the problem. It was not built to be elegant. It was built to arrive. But those legs existed for one purpose: to deliver the weapon at the front of its body. The skull of Daeodon was nearly 3 feet long, solid, dense, heavily reinforced bone. Stand in front of it for a second. Let the scale register. At the front of that jaw, thick, railroad spike canines built to grab and puncture. But further back in the mouth, the teeth change entirely. The premolars are thick, blunt, and rounded, shaped like blacksmith's anvils. Most apex predators carry blade teeth. They slice meat cleanly and leave the skeleton behind. Daeodon's anvil teeth were engineered for something no other predator on the continent attempted: osteophagy, the deliberate, systematic destruction and consumption of solid bone. Driven by estimated bite forces of over 3,000 pounds per square inch, the bone didn't bend, it detonated, split open, exposing the rich, high-calorie marrow inside. We are not guessing at this. Fossilized entelodont dung recovered from excavation sites is packed with crushed bone splinters. Its digestive system was a biological incinerator. It did not leave skeletons behind. It left dust. But carrying a 3-foot solid bone skull creates a massive mechanical problem. And the solution evolution came up with is one of the strangest things ever found on a fossil. If you look at the skull, you notice massive, heavy, bony protrusions jutting outward from its cheeks and lower jaw. Scientists call them Jugal flanges. Thick structural plates that look like they were bolted on from the outside. Biomechanical experts now believe these served as biological riot shields, protecting its vulnerable eyes and throat in close quarters combat. But they also served as structural scaffolding, extra bone architecture added by evolution specifically to anchor its unimaginably dense bite muscles. And to hold that massive front-heavy head upright, to stop the weight of a 3-foot skull from dragging its nose into the dirt, Daeodon grew a towering muscular hump across its upper back, purely as a biological crane, anchoring the thick neck tendons required to lift and swing that skull with lethal force. Every piece of its anatomy pointed at the same conclusion. It was built to break things. But what could possibly wound one badly enough to leave 2-inch deep bite marks in solid bone? The answer is written directly onto the fossils. The only thing that could match a Daeodon was another Daeodon. When paleontologists examined fossilized skulls from sites like the Agate fossil beds in Nebraska, they found brutal puncture wounds punched directly between the eyes and along the snout, 2 inches deep, into solid bone. These bite marks matched perfectly with the canine teeth of rival Daeodons. When severe droughts hit, 2 rival hell pigs would meet over the same kill, and what followed was not posturing. 2 massive animals, 3-foot jaws opening to a 90-degree angle, locking those teeth entirely over each other's faces, and biting down with thousands of pounds of hydraulic force. The bone around those bite marks shows calcification, meaning these animals survived having their faces crushed. They recovered, carried the scars, and came back to the exact same dust-choked battlegrounds. This was not a hierarchy of strength. It was a hierarchy of how much damage you could absorb and keep moving. The Oligocene Badlands had its own language. Daeodon was fluent. Now we can name what you saw at the beginning of this video, that robbery in the dirt has a scientific classification. It is called kleptoparasitism, the systematic theft of another predator's kill through size and intimidation alone. Running a 2,000-pound biological engine burns enormous calories. Hunting is metabolically expensive, so Daeodon simply made other predators do the work. Its enormous nasal cavity could detect the scent of fresh blood from miles away across the dry winds. It would follow that scent at a steady, energy-efficient walk, arriving at the scene of someone else's kill, radiating 2,000 pounds of total physical certainty. And waiting. The math was always the same. Move or become part of the meal. It ate whatever a predator unlucky enough to make a kill in its territory had worked to bring down. It was the absolute tax collector of the badlands. And for millions of years, every predator in North America paid without hesitation. For millions of years, Daeodon's formula was unbeatable. Be the biggest thing in the room. Eat bone when the meat runs out. Steal everything else. Then, around 18 million years ago, the world changed. The grasslands finally dominated the landscape. Early horses and camels evolved longer legs, built for sustained, highly efficient running. They could spot Daeodon from half a mile away and be gone before it closed 100 yards. The siege engine had no answer for distance. And then, across a newly formed land bridge from Asia, came the Amphicyonids, the bear-dogs. Hunting in highly organized packs with coordinated intelligence, they didn't try to fight Daeodon, they didn't need to. They hunted the new, fast prey efficiently, stripped every carcass clean, and moved on before the lumbering 2,000-pound enforcer could arrive to collect its tax. For the first time in its existence, Daeodon showed up to a kill site and found nothing. Unable to run down the new prey, unable to steal from predators that hunted too fast and too smart. The greatest terrestrial enforcer the mammal world had ever produced found itself standing on open ground with nothing left to take. No dramatic last stand, no final battle. Just the slow, grinding mathematics of starvation. Somewhere in the yellowing grass of the North American plains, the last Daeodon stopped walking. Not because something killed it, because there was nowhere left to go. The enforcer was gone. The badlands moved on. And the dust covered everything that remained.